Whether you love it or hate it, the Life is Strange series by Donut Entertainment has been doing pretty well for itself so far. With a successful first installment, pretty well received prequel, and now a much anticipated sequel coming later this September, the series seems to be here to stay. Until the first episode of Life is Strange 2 is released, however, Donut has released a free spin-off demo, which will tie into the second season, and have some choices you make carry over to the main game. Having been curious about this game since the announcement at E3, I recently played through the entry and felt it was worth talking about. Therefore, allow me to discuss it a little more in depth. Set in the same universe as the other Life is Strange entries, and taking place 3 years after the events of the first game, The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit follows the story of a young boy named Chris Erickson. Taking place in Beaver Creek, Oregon, Chris lives with his father Charles, who is struggling with the death of Chris's mother. One Saturday morning, while waiting for his dad's game on TV to finish so that they can get a Christmas tree, Chris dons the superhero alter ego Captain Spirit and lets his imagination run wild as he tries to complete various quests. These of course range from finding the necessary materials to finish Chris's cool Captain Spirit costume to blowing up an evil snowman with firecrackers. Chris is a pretty imaginative kid, so even though you basically just hang out in his house and yard throughout the day, you still have quite an adventure exploring the environment and seeing it through his eyes. However, while the game is very much a story of childlike wonder and imagination, don't be fooled into thinking that's all there is to it, as there is also plenty of more mature stuff to discover underneath the surface, such as how Chris's mother died, and stuff regarding Charles's tendency to drink a little too much. Trust me when I say that though short, I thought that this was a bit of an emotional roller coaster. Now, when it comes to what I like about this short experience, the first thing I like is the childlike imagination. Maybe it's the result of feeling like I'm getting old, or maybe it's the disappointment of seeing kids these days always playing on their phones instead of going outside, but I really appreciate seeing a kid that is creative and lets their imagination run wild. Therefore, for me, moments such as Chris referring to the water heater as the water eater that needs to be defeated, and his Sailor Moon-esque transformation as he puts on his costume, were really fun. It was the kind of stuff I can really imagine a kid thinking up, and I enjoyed being able to put myself in a non-adult role for a short while. On the other side of that though, I also really like how there's all this serious stuff happening at the same time. Though you basically play as a kid going through their Saturday morning and goofing off, the different clues that you can find about his mother Emily's death and stuff regarding his dad's anger problems helps to add some reality to the story, as well as conflict. Not only that, but once you take a look at these issues in his life and start to think of how becoming Captain Spirit may be a bit of a coping mechanism for Chris, there is a bit more depth to some of the things you see and experience. Coupling this with the more carefree, imaginative aspect of the game, I thought that this made for a really good balance. Finally, I like that the game is not only free, but also takes only a short time to get through. While don't get me wrong, I do enjoy longer games that take a bunch of tight commitment to complete, like Persona 5 or Nier Automata, it is always nice to have shorter games as well that can be started and completed in one sitting. Taking only between 1 to 2 hours to finish, I appreciate that this is the kind of thing you can do when you don't have too much time on your hands. As for any negative aspects of the game, while I don't think the game is quite long enough to warrant any complaints from me, I can say that this is definitely not for everyone. For instance, I know that not everyone will like how Chris acts or appreciate seeing him play pretend. I also know that some people hate the graphic adventure style of games and would probably get bored with the game's amount of looking at things versus gameplay. Therefore, if you hate this style of game or seeing kids act silly, this is probably one you'll want to skip. Regardless, The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit is a short game that I enjoyed playing through, and if any of what I have said sounds interesting, then I definitely recommend it. Taking only a couple of hours at most to beat, and for the low cost of free, I think that the story of Chris both having fun as a superhero persona and dealing with conflict in his life is worth a look at. But hey, that's just my opinion. And remember, don't take anything I say too seriously. After all, I'm just a wannabe reviewer. Thanks for watching.